Welcome back, guys. We were discussing previous year's question paper 2015 we were discussing, and section A is completed. Now we are going to discuss the section B. Section B is case studies. Again, the same pattern is going to be continued here also, what we followed in 2013 and 2014 paper. I will give you some time, or you can pause the video, you can go through with the question, and then we are going to answer this case study. You can pause the video, I'll be back after a minute or two, then we'll discuss the questions that are given with respect to this particular case study, right? The case study, it deals with a private company, and this private company, it has a cooperative character, and this in this company there are 700 people who are working. So this with respect to this company. Now in this company there are 40 individuals who belong to a particular party or with political ideologies. They entered the premises and they were quite violent, and they were demanding to give job to these 40 people. So they are quite violent here. See, usually this company, it is not going to entertain these kind of political affiliations or any influence for that matter. Everything is based on merit. This is the setup here. Now this violent mob, they are sitting in the premise. Then how do you handle this situation? They are asking for the job. Then how do you deal with the situation? This is the case study. Now there are three questions here. The first question: assume you are a CEO of the company. What would you do to diffuse the volatile situation on the date of gate crashing with the violent mob sitting inside a company? So this is the first question, where you have to chart out the options or the way handling these violent mob. This is one thing. And the second question: what can be long-term solution to the issue discussed in the case? Here the case is that the people with certain political background, they want to have a job in this company. If the similar situation happens again, how would you deal with it? These kind of similar violent mob entering into the premise, demanding something, how do you deal with that? You need to have a long-term strategy. And finally, every solution or action that you suggest will have a negative and positive impact. Usually the merit and demerit of every action you take, you have to discuss. See, what I'll do is, see, the third question, it talks about every solution action that you suggest. Here in the first, as a CEO, the immediate action you are giving, short-term solution you are talking about, and there is a long-term solution also. If you write merit and demerit for all the short-term and long-term steps, this is going to take a lot of time. And for the 20 mark case studies, it is impossible. 20 marker case studies, it is impossible to give that much of time. So what I would suggest is that write the steps. The first question, you have to write down the steps how to deal with the mob, then write merit and demerit to that step, and finally give the long-term solution for this particular issue, right? So let's get into the discussion. Let's answer the first question, that how do you deal with this? What are the steps you follow here? The first and foremost aspect is that these are violent people. They are sitting inside the premises. What should be your priority? Your priority should be the safety of the worker. Your priority should be the safety of infrastructure, company critical infrastructure. The first aspect is that you have to prioritize the safety of the employees. You have to prioritize the company infrastructure. This is first thing. And the next thing is, inform the law enforcement agency, that is police, inform them, and also inform the labor authorities, because this belongs to the labor issue also. They want to have a job here, and also there are 700 people who are working there. They are having some kind of trouble here. So you inform law enforcement agencies along with the labor authorities also. And the third aspect is that mediation between management and the demonstrator. See, this is another way. Once you secure the premises and you inform the authority, the next step is to have a dialogue and the discussion. Ultimately it comes to the dialogue and discussion only, but first priority is the safety, and then you are going for a dialogue and discussion. And the fourth action you are going to take is communicating the situation with respect to leader of that political party. These 40 people who are sitting in the company premise, they belong to particular political party with a particular political ideology. Now in order to pacify the situation, you have to talk to the leaders of that political party so that they will convince these people, right? These are the 4 actions I am going to take with respect to this situation. Now let's see the merits and demerits first, and then we'll talk about the long term steps or long term solution for these kind of situation. So merits and demerits. What are the merits? The first step I am going to take is that I am going to prioritize safety of the workers, safety of employees. So the safety of employees and company infrastructure. The merit is that ultimately protecting lives who are working for the company, this is extremely important, and there is no compromise with that. So advantage is that this is going to focus on protect the lives of employees and also critical infrastructure of the company. If the critical infrastructure is damaged due to this violent mob, then this is going to impact the economic security or the performance of the company. So protecting critical infrastructure is very important, and I am protecting that is merit. And second merit is minimize the direct confrontation of 700 employees. By prioritizing safety of employees, I am maintaining direct confrontation of these 700 employees to the violent mob. This is another positive thing. And the third is there is a presence of mind, because I want protection of these people, so it is a presence of mind, and also it is a quick response also. So my response is quicker, and there is a presence of mind with respect to this option. Positives we have seen. Again we have a negatives also. Demerits is that now in the process of prioritizing safety, either you are sending to some secured infrastructure or secured place of a company, this is going to create some kind of panic among the employees. They don't understand why they are doing, or is mob that violent, so it is going to create some kind of panic among the employees. And another thing is, every day the company has certain targets, day-to-day activities, day-to-day targets, and closing down infrastructure or sending these people to a safe zone, again this is going to disrupt day-to-day working of the company, day-to-day target of the company. This is a demerit. And the next option, the second option is that second action I am going to take, inform law enforcement agencies and labor authorities. So I am informing police, I am informing law enforcement authorities. So what are the positives, what are the negatives here? See, positive is that I am not taking law in my hand, I am respecting law and order situation. See, there are 700 employees. If all the 700 employees comes out, if they start beating up this violent mob, 40 people, they cannot take it. But still, what I am doing, being a CEO, I am informing police, I am informing law enforcement authority. So here I have that respect towards rule of law. So from company side, there is a respect to the rule of law. And the second thing is, it does not look weak for the intimidation. If they are asking for it, it's just a 40 members out of 700, 40 more members, I can say yes to it, but I'm handling it through a law enforcement agencies, through a labor authorities. So it does not look weak for intimidation. Somebody is trying to intimidate me and I am not budging myself. So it does not look weak for intimidation, and it shows the moral courage. Again, positives, negatives are also there for this option. What are the negative aspect here? These people, they have a political support, they have certain political ideologies, so there might be possibility is there for a political backlash. That is one negative thing. Another negative is, by informing police and these labor authorities, you are escalating the matter. Now what happens, it will come in the newspaper somewhere, the company will be the talk of the talk. So escalating this matter and in turn, for some it might lead to a positive outcome, it might lead to a negative outcome also. So it might take a toll on reputation of the company also. So escalation of conflict happens due to this option. And the third thing is, don't expect that the authorities, labor authorities, they will come immediately, they will solve the issue. Administrative delays will be there. So administrative delays, procedure delays will be there. That also you should keep in mind with respect to law enforcement agencies. So this is with respect to negative. The second action, I am going to inform the law enforcement agencies, and positives, negatives. And the next course of action is dialogue process, the mediation between management and demonstrator. Mediation, Ultimately, see, you have to sit and you have to talk, you have to sort out the issues. Even for the world wars also, they have to come together, they have to talk, they have to sign an agreement. For any conflict, any these kind of confrontation, it is the talk, it is the dialogue process that is going to find the solution. Here also this is the same thing. So ultimately, talks have the convincing power. And another aspect is that you can convince them in the talks, you can convince them, look at, this is the policy of the company, and we don't do these kind of favors, everything is transparent, we follow this. You can convince these protesters and give the data, how exactly people are appointed in the company. By giving all these facts, you can convince them with respect to recruitment process. And this is a matured way of handling things. How else do you going to handle these kind of confrontation? It is only through the negotiation, it is only through the discussion. So it's a mature way of handling things. Now there are demerits also, there are negative side also. What is the negative side? These people are violent mob. It is mentioned in the case study question itself. Is it a right way to handle? They are talking about violence, you are talking about dialogue. Is it going to give the solution? That is a question mark. Is it a right way of handling things? It's there. And another thing is, they are violent and you want to talk to them. It looks like you are kind of weak, you are budging to their demands. So it may look and lack of fortitude, the fearlessness, courage. It looks like there is a lack of fortitude. And finally, it looks like fear driven, not governance decision. It looks like fear driven decision, right? So this is with respect to this option. And the final course of action is that communicating the situation to leaders of the political party. Now I understood that these people belong to a certain political party. Now I want to talk to the political leader, so that they are going to convince them. So this is my option. Now merit is that the leaders, they can talk to the mob and they can pacify the situation. Yes, it is possible. You can convince them and you can tell the real situation, and they can talk to the mob, they can pacify the situation. This is one thing. And also it can offer a quick solution. These people with certain political ideology, if they get a call from the higher authorities of this political party, they are going to listen. So quick solution is possible, and it is going to do a minimum damage to the infrastructure, minimum damage to the reputation of the company. This is positive thing. At the same time, there are demerits. Demerit is that you are depending on the mercy of the leaders of these political parties. And another aspect is, this will used as a strategy in future also for the other companies also. So it might be used as a tool to convince the company. Send some of the protesters, protest there, and the company is going to call these leaders and they are going to have a talk, and ultimately these leaders will be having a upper hand with respect to these companies, with respect to these establishments. So this is a negative thing. So we saw the actions, we saw the merits and demerits, positives and negatives. So initially I would suggest you start with the stakeholders. Before answering this also, initially start with the, before this also I would suggest write down the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders here? The company and the people, political party, their leaders, law enforcement agencies, the 700 people who are working in the company. These are all the stakeholders here. Write the stakeholders, and if there are any ethical dilemma is there, mention that dilemma also. Here one side, company don't want to compromise with the ethics and morality. They have the moral principles, only merit it is going to that will be the factor of recruitment. But here there is a political ideology, there is a safety security. So how do you deal with that? Even mention these kind of ethical dilemma also. Then start answering the question. First question is done, C is done. Now action. The second is B. B talks about what are the long-term solutions. So long-term solution, let's see the long-term solutions. The first and foremost thing is, see, if similar situation happens in future, you need to have a proper human resource, you need to have a proper infrastructure to handle this. So in order to develop that infrastructure, you need to have enough resources. So you have to allocate the enough resources to handle these kind of violent disturbance in future. This is one thing. And the next thing is, the crisis management training should be given to the workforce. I told you that there might be chances of some kind of panic among the workers. If they have crisis management training, they can face these kind of situation with very braveness. This is second thing. And the next thing is, your company, it is not doing anything unethical or illegal, but still these people are asking for some favor. Now what you do is, you make entire recruitment process transparent, applying or promotion, everything transparent, and post everything in your website. By doing this, even people will be aware of what kind of strategy the company uses. So making entire recruitment process transparent, post everything in your official website, so that in future people know what is the basis of appointment and there will not be any political pressure in future. This is another long term solution. And have a code of conduct, code of ethics, and there should be a strict adherence to this code of conduct and code of ethics. And also you keep core values of your company as an integrity and employee welfare. Consider these values as a core value system here. And then no political affiliation or politically motivated activities should be there in the premise of the company. There should be no favor to anybody, whether they belong to this law enforcement agency or belong to political party or belong to any industrialist. It is not going to be entertained. These kind of ideological aspects are not going to be entertained. No political affiliations, anything, any political related activities will not be there in the premise of the company. This is another thing. And proactive community engagement is also necessary. The corporate social responsibility. See, community engagement is that when you engage with the community, people around you, you are creating awareness with respect to your company, and the people will be knowing what kind of company are you and how exactly your recruitment process are. So there is these act as a confidence building measure, and if these kind of crisis happens in future, you will be having the support of the community, you will be having the support of the people around your company. So that also acts as a shield of support for you in future. So proactive community engagement is very much required. At the same time, involve this. For proactive community engagement, you can use corporate social responsibility. You give something positive to the society. Society in turn it is going to give something positive towards you. This act as a confidence building measures and potentially diffuse the future local discontent. Right? These are the future long term strategies to avoid future confrontations. Right? So this is with respect to first case studies. Let's move to the next one. Go through with the case study. I'll give you a minute or so, or you can pause the video and you can go through with the case studies. I'll be back and let's discuss the question here. The case study, it is talking about you are a sarpanch of a panchayat, head of a panchayat, and here new cook has been appointed to a school, and this new cook belongs to a Dalit community. Now parents are not happy about it. Now parents, they have stopped sending the kids to the school, and is going to cook the midday meals, and parents are not happy sending their children, and they are not happy their children eating food cooked by a Dalit person belong to a Dalit community. Now the attendance has fallen. Now you are a sarpanch, you have that responsibility. What do you do in this situation? Now the question here is that discuss some of the feasible strategies to overcome the conflict and to create a right ambience. Now write down some of the strategies. How do you deal with the situation? This is one question. And the second question is, what should be the responsibility of different social segments and agencies to create positive social ambience for accepting such change? Responsibilities of different social segments. There is the responsibility of school staff, responsibility of sarpanch, responsibility of authority, responsibility of law and order. From all these perspectives, you have to write the answer. So the first, let's answer the first question. Again, write down the stakeholders and write down if there are any ethical dilemmas also. So the question talks about discuss the feasible strategies. Now let's see the strategies here. See, in order to deal with this issue, your focus should be on equality, your focus should be on fairness. So make sure that equality and fairness is maintained. How do you make sure equality is upheld in this particular case. You follow one particular approach, that is justice based approach. There are so many approaches: means based approach, justice, virtue based approach. So here focus on justice based approach. By focusing on justice based approach, you make sure the fairness, the concept of fairness, the concept of equality is upheld in this situation. Here the justice is with respect to Dalit cook, so their justice and equality has to be maintained here. And the second strategy is that people should be aware of legal aspects. The discrimination, caste based discrimination, it is against constitution morality, it is against the law. This aspect has to be, people should be aware of this legal aspect, this constitutional morality. So creating awareness regarding constitutional morality and legal aspect. See, if you do this, there are legal consequences. Legal consequences is punishment. So they should be aware of this. Once they are aware of these physical punishment, they are not going to follow it. So creating awareness is another necessary step, feasible strategy. And the third is that legal aspect is there, but don't expect that if you make a law, people are going to follow it. No, it is not going to happen. We have a law with respect to dowry, but still dowry is very much prevalent. We have a law with respect to child marriage is happening. We have a law with respect to child labor, it is still prevalent in the country. So don't expect that if you make a law, then that is going to change the society. It is not going to happen. People have to accept it, people have to practice it. That is the reality. Now the thing is, you have to use persuasion techniques or social influence to change the minds. How do you do that persuasion? By involving influential personalities, maybe local MP and MLA. They have significant influence on the local area, on the community, or religious leaders, or if there are any actors in the region, television stars, social media influencers. Use them, take their favor and convince them as an act of persuasion, act of social influence. Now the next aspect is that community participation is very much important. If people in a society started practicing something, the concept of social proof, other people are also going to follow the same thing. Here what happens, community engagement is necessary. When the community is convinced, the parents are also convinced, children are also convinced. So community engagement and convince the parents. How do you convince them? With the workshops, dialogue process, the negotiation, the dialogue process. These things have to be there, and by doing this, ensure that there is tolerance, there is acceptance at the social level. Enhance the tolerance and acceptance. How do you do it? By focusing on community. By focusing on community, eventually parents are also going to covered inside it, and children are also going to covered inside it. How do you do it? Through the workshop, through the dialogue process, right? Then at the school level also, they have to do something. They have to create social equality to the kids. When kids are convinced about social equality, they don't mind eating a food from a Dalit cook. Again, social equality, you have to promote it. How do you promote the social equality? Through storytelling, through plays, through activities in school. Target is social equality, right? And then comes involve all stakeholders to fulfill responsibility of creating society of no discrimination. Everybody is a stakeholder, and you convince them that we all have a social responsibility, moral responsibility. Responsibility is to maintain equality. Responsibility is to have that tolerance and acceptance. Responsibility is to remove this kind of discrimination. So every stakeholder should be convinced to have this social responsibility. So these are the long-term strategies. These are called feasible strategies to overcome conflict and to create right ambience. Right, this is the first question. And the second question, let's go to the second question. Now the second question talks about the various stakeholders and responsibility of different social segments. So let's see the responsibility of different social segments. The first, it is school staff. School staff, they have certain responsibility, and here they should ensure that no child is discriminated. Here the case is with respect to the cook, but why are we talking about discrimination of child? When there is no discrimination with respect to another child, the same thing going to be replicated with respect to teachers, the same thing is going to be replicated with respect to cook also. So there should be no discrimination. The sense of brotherhood, sense of oneness should be there. And then it is responsibility of school to give a value-based education. When you give value-based education, this is going to inculcate the moral responsibility, the ethical responsibility inside the children. So value-based education for moral responsible situation, and this is moral obligation of a school staff, right? And then the next stakeholders here is the parents. And what should be their roles? See, the priority of a parent should be a proper education. If you have a proper education, that is going to give you the proper knowledge. So knowledge, wisdom, that should be the priority. It is not the caste based discrimination, class based discrimination. Priority should be there. Prioritize the children's education, prioritize the children's nutrition, not the outdated customs. This is not the priority. Priority is your children's health, priority is your children's nutrition, priority is your children's education. And at the same time, they should play very prominent role to discard the caste-based prejudice. But here in the case studies, they are the one inculcating the caste-based prejudice. Now it is their responsibility to discard these prejudice here. See, in the first unit when we were discussing, I told you that family is the primary socializing agent. Being a primary socializing agent, we imbibe so many value systems, so many virtues, and our attitude formation is based on the virtues of the family. So whatever they follow, we are going to imbibe. So it is their responsibility, being a stakeholder, being a shareholders, they have to deal with it. They have to discard the caste-based prejudice here. And then you have to impart, you have to teach your children certain values. What are the values? Values of compassion, values of equality. When they have these values, definitely they are not going to support this kind of discrimination. So it is a responsibility of parents. Now even the being a community, the social level, they have certain responsibility. Community responsibility is that they have the moral responsibility to question the social evils in the society. Social evils, the caste-based discrimination, patriarchy, these are some of the social evils. Even these kind of social evils have to be addressed. Who is going to address? If the one person, it is not going to happen. The community should come together. At least the educated minds of the community, they should come and they should raise the voices. The moral responsibility of the community is that they have to challenge the social evils. And then ultimate aim of a community or a social setup is that inclusive development. Inclusive development is that everybody is included in that development, even the Dalit, even the people belong to the vulnerable section. So community has to support the inclusive development practices. So in that practice, even cooking, Dalit being a cook in a school, it is also one among the practice. So that has to be corrected by community, right? And then we have law and order. They also have certain responsibilities. Law and order. See, here the victim is that Dalit cook. Now it is responsibility of law and order or district administration to make sure that the cook is not harassed here. So they have to ensure protection. This protection is for what? Protection for the rights of marginalized sections in the society. They have to give that protection to them. The victim, protection has to be given to the victim, and then provide necessary legal and ethical guidance. They have to provide that legal guidance and the ethical guidance, moral guidance also to the victim here. And then there is one more stakeholder, that is civil society organizations or the NGO. They also have that responsibility. Responsibility is that they conduct sensitization programs and workshops to create awareness against these discriminatory practices. And another thing is awareness campaigns to educate community, parents, and eventually this will come to the children also. So sensitization programs, workshops, awareness campaigns can be conducted by NGO or civil society organization. So this is with respect to this particular case study. So again, first you write the stakeholders and then the ethical dilemma, and then get into the questions. Answer these questions, right? Let's move to the next one. The next case study, again the same thing. I am going to give you a minute or two. You go through with the question, pause the video, go through with the question, and then we are going to answer the case studies, right? In this case study, you are a CEO of a company is pharmaceutical company, and you produce one particular drug, you have a best selling veterinary drug, and you got to know that this particular veterinary drug, it has potential to cure a liver disease. So it has that potential, but the thing is you have to do a lot of research and innovation, R&D, and then you have to develop that. So in order to develop that particular drug, you need around 50 crore investment. So you have to provide 50 crore for the further development of this drug. And the noticeable aspect of this drug is that this liver disease, this is prevalent in poverty stricken areas. Only in those areas this condition, medical condition is there, and even if you spend 50 crores here, you are not going to receive anything out of it, because area, it is poverty stricken areas and very few people are affected by it, so returns are very less. So this is a situation. Now you are CEO of the company. Now the thing is, what are the actions you identify the various actions that you could take in this situation. What are the actions you take, and evaluate the pros and cons of each of your actions. This is the simple question, direct question. Again, write down the stakeholders and causes. What are the ethical dilemma or the two contradicting attitudes here. Here the case study, the dilemma is with this commercial obligation. See, if I am spending 50 crores here, I am not going to get anything in return or very less money out of it, so company will be in the loss. So one side there is a commercial obligation, another side there is a social responsibility. I know that this is going to cure the liver diseases, people belong to these areas, poverty stricken areas, so this is going to, my company is going to give the contribution to the society. So dilemma with commercial obligation, and social responsibility. I would suggest for every case study write down these kind of dilemma if you could make out commercial obligation and social responsibility. Now let's see, the first question is that identify the various actions that you could take. So let's see the various actions that I could take being a CEO. The first option I have is go ahead with the production of new drug. So this is the first option, and let's see the pros and cons. So I have taken a decision to produce the new drug. What is the positive aspect here? My reputation of my company, it is going to increase, because it is going to create the news and people are going to get to know that even though there is no returns, company is doing it. So reputation of, it is going to strengthen the credibility of the company. This is going to strengthen the reputation of the company. This is one thing. And another thing is I have certain social responsibilities. Even though I am a private company, I have been helped by the people of the country. So it is now it is a time to give back something back to the society. So chance to fulfill the social responsibility, give my social responsibility, fulfill my social responsibility to the country, right? This is one thing. And what is the negative here? Negative is that I told you that it is the 50 crore. 50 crore, I am not going to get anything in return. So there is an economical burden, financial burden. This is one negative. Along with that, I am a CEO, I am not the head of the company. So in order to go for manufacturing of this particular drug, I need to get approval from all the shareholders of the company. Convincing is not very easy. Everybody's perspective is different. So again, approval from shareholder is another challenge here. And again, this is an economic burden, right? And the next option I have is that production of the drug in collaboration with government. This is a second action I can consider. So with government, I can talk to the government, I can convince the government. Now I can produce the government, funding from the government, or in collaboration some arrangements can be done and we can go for a production of the company. This is one thing. And what are the advantages and what are the negatives? Advantages, again, you have a social responsibility and you are fulfilling the social responsibility, one thing. And second thing is government already has expertise in these kind of area. Government already freely distribute medicines for tuberculosis, for HIV treatment, even for the COVID vaccination, it was free for the people. So government has expertise and company can learn from these expertise, company can utilize these expertise. These are the positive aspect. So there is a social benefit, especially you are helping the vulnerable section of the society, and government expertise can be utilized. At the same time, there are negatives also. Negatives is that all the credit government is going to take ultimately. See, your company is not going to get any credit, it is the government that is going to take the credit. And second thing is, there are bureaucratic delays, there are bureaucratic restrictions, administrative delays, red tapeism. And even your company also have to go through with all these things. Every approval you have to get it from a government and you have to wait for that, and maybe there are chances you have to give money also. So bureaucratic restrictions, time delays, administrative delays, that is going to impact the process. So this is the negative if you involve government, if you collaborate with government. And the next course of action, is raise the public funding using social media or social media. Again, what are the advantages? If I am raising the funding from the people, then it is also creating the social awareness. People will get to know that there is this kind of situation, liver situation, and there will be awareness with respect to this particular issue. One thing, it is going to create awareness regarding this issue, and the second thing is that you don't have to worry about the funding. There will be public funding, they are going to fund. Only thing you have to focus is the production and the efficiency of the drug. So your time and resources are can be focused on this particular issue. But there are negatives also. What are the negatives? See, developing a drug, it is a time based approach here. But here what happens, if you are raising a money from public in a social media, there is no time restriction. It may happen in 6 months, it may happen in 1 year. So time bound approach, you cannot expect that. That is one thing. And another thing is that factor of uncertainty. You are not very sure that you can raise all the 50 crore rupees from the people. Again, that factor of uncertainty is also there. This is the negative aspect if you raise public fund for this particular development of drug. And the next course of action is that involvement of international organization like WHO in the production. Yes, this is also feasible option. What are the advantages of this? Here is that it is that you can get best international practices, expertise from these kind of body, and this will help in the implementation, this will help in the production. And the second thing is, there will be time bound restriction. It means that within this particular period of time you have to finish the production. So time boundness is there. So drug will be ready within the stipulated time period also. This is the advantage. At the same time, negatives are also there. What are the negatives here is that this getting the approval of this international body, it is not a small thing. Even your company has to fulfill certain standards, then only you are going to get these standards. So a lot of delay is going to happen, and it is very difficulty also. And another thing is that strict supervisions will be there. So you will be under the control of these bodies. You have to listen whatever they say. You are the private company, but now in this situation, in this idea of producing drug, you are under the control of these international bodies. This is the negative thing. So pros and cons involving international organization. And then finally you can drop the idea. Dropping the idea that you don't want to produce this drug. Again, what are the advantages of dropping the idea? One thing, financial resources can be saved. I don't have to, me being a CEO, I don't have to convince my shareholders to spend 50 crores. That is one thing. Another thing is, I produce this particular drug, but what if efficiency is not up to the mark? What if efficiency is bad? Again, people are going to blame me only. So there is no risk of product inefficiency. That is an advantage. And what is disadvantage? Again, I have certain responsibility, moral responsibility, social responsibility. I am not fulfilling it. So not taking moral responsibilities towards society. I am making money out of the society, but when the time comes to give it back, I am not giving it. And another thing is, it is willful ignorance towards a humanity, towards a human beings. So this is negative. So dropping the idea. It's totally 5 actions. Every action has pros and cons. We have discussed all the pros and cons, right? Let's move to the next case study. Again, I'll give you a minute or two, pause the video, go through with the question, and then we are going to discuss this particular case study. In this case study, there is a cloud burst, heavy rainfall, and this heavy rainfall, it has created floods, devastating floods, and it has created landslides. Because of these floods and landslides, the people are trapped in that region. In that group of people, we have senior citizens, we have pilgrims, we have women and children, we have patients, we have a political leader, we have a additional chief secretary. So all these people, they are trapped in that location. Now you are a civil servant, you have that responsibility to rescue these people. Now question is asking, as a civil services officer of a state, what would be the order in which you would rescue these people and why? I told you that senior citizens, women, children, already these prisoners, all these people are there, these people are trapped in that location. Now who is your first priority and what is the reason behind it, and also you have to justify your decision here. So this is the case study here. So let's see my order of preference here. The first, I would prefer the patients in the hospital. The reason is that they need immediate medical treatment and already they are facing some health issues. If the proper medical care or medical treatment is not given, it is going to impact their life. They might probably lose a life also. So here they are the most vulnerable and their survival is dependent on the medical treatment. So that is the reason my first priority is the patients in hospital. And then the senior citizen. Senior citizen, the reason is they are also very much vulnerable because they have the physical restriction, they have the physical limitancy, so they cannot run, they are not as active as other group of people. So because of this physical fragility, because of this physical limitation, my second priority is senior citizens who are trapped in that region, rescuing of senior citizens. And then comes children and women. Children, they don't have the surviving skills, so they are dependent on others. For that reason, children is the next priority. At the same time, women, chances of exploitation is there, so unaccompanied women are at the risk of exploitation or emotional trauma. For that reason, the next priority is children and women. And then comes generals, tourists and hikers. See, comparatively they are stronger when you compare to these patients, senior citizen, children and all. So that is the reason in the order of precedence I am keeping general, tourist. It means that hikers, they are physically fit, but they are keeping at the fourth place before locals and all. The reason is they are not aware of that terrains, and also if anything wrong happens to the hikers and tourists, this is going to impact long term the tourist arrival to that region, and in turn it is going to impact the economic aspect also. So for that reason also, next preference is given to the generals, tourists and the hikers here. And then comes locals here. The locals, the advantage, see, there is an advantage for the local. That is the reason we have kept at the 5th position. The thing is, they are aware of the particular area. They know the availability of food and water in that region. So they already have that knowledge. That is the reason we have kept it in the 5th position here. And also locals will be in large number. Again, they are above the higher rank officials, political leaders, because the thing is locals will be in large number, and large number missing of this large number or large number trapped in that particular region, this is going to create a panic. For that reason, the 5th priority is for the locals. Then we have a high ranking officials. High ranking officials, here in the question it has been mentioned about the additional chief secretary. Even though they have a very dominating position in the administration, even their presence is necessary to handle the crisis, but still priority will not be given to them. In the last stages only they are rescuing. The reason here is, if I am a chief secretary or a additional chief secretary, then I have already taken an oath to serve the public. So public welfare is my priority. So by myself I am keeping my priority down, and also me being a civil servant, I am a decision maker here, I also consider them at the later phases, because we all have, me being a civil servant, you being an additional secretary or any other public servant, our priority is at the down. And then we have a political leaders, ruling party, regional president and family, that is mentioned in the case studies. Here the political leaders, again political leaders, they are here to serve the society, they are here to serve the people. They themselves should rescue. They should not ask for a priority. They should take a step back. They should let others to clear from that region. So other people who are trapped, senior citizens or the patients, they should give their priority to these people. So at the last position, last 1 or 2 position, the politicians comes here. They are public representatives already. Their priority is for the people, welfare of the people. For that reason, they must lead by an example and do not seek a preferential. They themselves should not seek a preferential treatment, even the additional secretary also. And finally come prisoners in the jail, because prisoners in the jail already their movement is restricted, their freedom is restricted. So for that reason, I am giving the last place with respect to the rescue chart in the rescue chart, right? Then now I have to give the justification also. Justification is what? The first, I am selecting senior citizens or the patients, women and children. The reason is that there is a physical vulnerability is there, and these are the weaker people when you compare to the other group of the people. Surviving skills are very low. For that reason, focus on most vulnerable sections to reduce the suffering. That is the first. And the next, I am talking about tourists, I am talking about local people because they are in big number. Here I am following utilitarian approach to save maximum number of people. So I am following utilitarian approach here. And then another reason for this particular priority or the chart is that resource and the availability of financial resource and the human resource, that is also an important aspect. Based on the resource only, I can make up how exactly I am going to act in this situation. If there are limited resources, then my hands are tied, I cannot do anything. So I have to allocate this human resource, financial resources based on the availability. So effective resource allocation at this crucial period of crisis. So that is the reason priority has been given to the different group of people. And then finally, whatever the step I take, that has to be based on moral principles. What are the principles? Principle of justice, principle of objectivity, principle of fairness in my decision making and course of action. It is not based on the social status, it is not based on the power. Even in that order of priority, the chief secretary and the political leaders, their family, they have given at the 5th or 6th spot I have given. The reason is it is not based on social power, it is not based on the financial power, it is not based on your social status. It is purely based on the principle of justice, principle of equality, principle of fairness. So this is with respect to this particular case study. Let's move to the next one. Again, go through with that and we are going to solve this case study. I am going to give you a minute or two. I will be back then. In this case study, you are heading a district administration of particular department. Now, the district administration, they have taken a decision to build a school in a village. Now you are, and they've selected a plot in a village also. Now your superior, he is telling you to go to a village and take a look at the plot and give a report. So this is what your superior has told. Now you go there and you went there and you got to know that the plot has been shifted to some other place. Now it is not in the village, it is quite far from the village, and the new plot, this is in the premise of the heritage center. So it is quite far from the village, and also the developmental cost in the new place, it is quite high. If any of the developer comes there to build the infrastructure, you have to pay more money for the developer. So this is one thing. And now you come to know that the decision is made by Sarpanch and the predecessor, the development officer, district development officer before you, he made the deal, and also the Sarpanch. But you also come to know that both of them are related. So this is the situation, and you understood that there is a vested interest behind this. They have changed the location from village to the outside of the village, outskirts of the village, that too in a heritage center. A lot of vested interest is clearly visible here. Now the question is that how do you deal with that? Now list the likely vested interest of the concerned parties here. You have to list down the vested interest here, one thing, and also some of the options for for the action available to you are listed below. Discuss the merits and demerits of these options. First you have to mention the interest of the concerned parties, then options they have given, you have to write the merits and demerits, and finally suggest any other option with proper justification. If you are not happy with any of these options, you can write down your own option and you have to give the justification also. So let's get into the discussion. The first question, lists the likely vested interest in the concerned parties. The first concerned party is your predecessor, the officer, the district administrator before you. So for him, if you look at the particular situation, there are two possibilities. One is financial gain, another one is favoritism. Financial gain because he is changing plot from in the village to the outside the village. See, in the village, it has been mentioned in the case studies that the village region, it has a very strong commercial potential in future. So this is going to develop into a commercial hub. To save the land, what the predecessor has done, he has shifted this particular school from village to outskirts of the village. So the possibility of financial gain is there. So along with that, Sarpanch is the relative. So the kind of favoritism is also there. So intention of favoritism and compromising of professional ethics is visible there. So this is the vested interest, financial gain and the favoritism. And the next, who is the next concerned party here? The Sarpanch. Sarpanch is a decision making here. He is the head of the village panchayat here. And here also there is a personal gain. So he knows that this land has a property. If I hand over this land to the school, around maybe 10 to 20 acres of land will be handed over to the school for the playground, everything. So the same thing, if we don't hand over, some commercial hub can be developed in that region, so financially benefit. And if I am a Sarpanch, I have land nearby, value of my land, this is going to be 2 times, 3 times. So there is a vested interest, there is a personal gain. So focus on personal gain, and he is compromising the social benefit, right? And another aspect here is that for family relation, again you are misusing the public office. So it's vested interest here also, family relation and the personal gain. And the next concerned parties are local panchayat, the members of panchayat. Even their acceptance is also very much important. They also compromise for the short term benefit, short term economic gains. They have compromised with the long term social benefit. So vested is short term financial gain. And another thing is, see, you have to be in good terms with the Sarpanch, then only you can enjoy power properly. So even to access your power, even to enjoy your power, you gave green signal to this project. So again, you have given precedence over power over social responsibility, right? And the next vested interest concerned parties, it is the developers. So I told you that outside the village, especially with respect to that heritage monument, they want to build a school. Their developmental cost is more. Whatever the reason, development cost is more. And who is going to get the advantage? The developer is going to get the advantage. Developer, one who builds the school here, school building here, he is going to get the advantage here. So here also there is a financial gain for the developer. So he is going to get inflated charges at the fort site, the new site, it is around the fort. So he is going to get the financial gain. So these are the vested interest, likely vested interest with respect to the school in the new site, right? And the next question, they've given certain options and you have to write merits and demerits. The first option is that you can await the visit of superior officer and let him take a decision. So you have seen the situation, you know the real situation now. It is not in the village, it is outside the village. School building, the plot is outside the village. You know the situation. Now you can wait. So your superior has told that you go there and you see the situation, then I will come and I will analyze I will look at the plot. This is the thing. Now you have seen, you have realized that plot is not in the village. Now you can wait the visit of superior officer and let him take a decision. Let him come and let him take a decision. So this option, what is the merit and demerit? See, one thing is that your superior is going to take a decision. It means that in civil services, public service, the hierarchy is there. You are respecting that hierarchy. Your superior is going to take a decision. This is one advantage. Another thing is superior has more knowledge, more experience. He knows how to handle this. So this is also an advantage. And final, the thing is sharing. It is not your responsibility now. Responsibility has been shared between you and your superior. So there is a shared responsibility in decision making. and superior has more expertise and experience, and finally you are respecting hierarchy and you are adhering to the protocol. These are the positive things. At the same time we have a negatives also, demerit also. Demerit is that there is a lack of competence. You could not able to take a decision, that is why you are waiting for your senior officers, so you are depending on superior. And the next thing is, it is a waste of time and resources, because you already know that even superior comes, he is not going to happy with the present situation. Again, not informing, he is coming there and again he is not happy, go back again new plan has to be made, everything. There is a waste of time, there is a waste of resources. Or else you could have directly tell him that this is a situation, but you are waiting his response or waiting superior officers. So again, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources, since you already aware of ground situation. It clearly shows that inefficiency, your inefficiency, right? Now next option, you can seek his advice, superior advice, in writing or in phone. So let's see the pros and cons here. See, now the first option I've told my superior the present situation. Now I want his opinion here. The first thing here is, his advice, it is going to be a moral support for you. Now you are confused, some direction or guidance will be given by his support, so it is going to act as a moral support to you, right? And also the first step to solve the issues is quick input from the higher authority. You're talking over a phone and inputs you got it, so this is the first step to solve the issue. And another thing, since you are informing your senior, there is a commitment from your side for the public cause, so commitment to the public cause is there. This is advantage. And what are the negatives here? Negatives also there, demerits are also there. One thing is that you are not taking a decision, you are telling your superior to take a decision. It clearly says that professional dependency is there, you are dependent on your superior, he is going to take a decision. This is one thing. And you are either writing, through the writing you are communicating with him, or through the phone you are communicating with him. A chance of misinterpretation is there. You can understand in a wrong way, the misinterpretation happens. I have not seen it in real, so chances that superior is going to get confused, or there is a chance of misinterpretation. So risk of misinterpretation by a written explanation, and even through the phone also. So this is demerit, right? And the next option, you consult your predecessor, colleagues, etc., then decide what to do. Again, we have a merits and demerits. So your predecessor, the one who took a decision, you talk to that predecessor or your colleagues. Based on their advice, you take a decision. Let's talk about predecessor first. So you call that person. See, there are chances that genuinely they have taken their decision. You should be aware of that also. For that reason, you talk to that person. So you will get to know on what context they have taken a decision. So he is going to inform you on what context they have taken a decision. They have taken a plot from within village to a heritage site, so that you will understand. Another thing is, the colleagues, they are going to help you, and kind of network of support can be built. So they give your information, and some other colleague is going to give some piece of advice. So network of support can be built here. This is the merit. And the demerit is that decision is taken by this person and you are calling the same person regarding this particular issue. It is a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is very evident here. At the same time, whatever predecessor give, the previous district administrator gives, it may not be neutral here, because he knows that if something wrong is proved, I will be at I have to face the consequences here. So he is not going to give a neutral opinion. He is going to give his perspective. Watered down approach we can see. So watered down approach we can see. He just want to save himself. Don't expect the genuine neutral opinion from him. So he want to avoid the decisive action. So this is what happens if you consult your predecessor or colleagues, right? Let's move to the next option. Next option is, you can find out if any alternate plot can be got in exchange and then send a comprehensive written report. So let's see the pros and cons here. Pros is what, that again this is a solution oriented approach. See, now it is in the outskirt of the village, it is in the heritage site. Again, this is quite far for the children and also is not feasible economically also. Now we want to find a solution. So for that, This approach is solution oriented approach. Somewhere it shows the efficiency in you. You want to find a solution. And then another advantage is that you are prioritizing the public welfare. You genuinely know that this is going to create trouble for the children. That is the reason you want to change the plot. You want to build school near to the village. So again, dedication to the public service is visible. Now what are the demerits here? See, alternative plot, why do you have to go for an alternative plot? You directly ask the sarpanch where exactly plot has been allocated. You take that decision only. Why should you have to find alternative plot? Again, it shows that there is a lack of moral courage. You are not confronting the sarpanch, you are not confronting the predecessor. Again, the moral cowardice, it is visible here. And another thing is, this is a time consuming exercise. Again, the same procedure you have to go through with it, everything. There is an administrative delay, bureaucratic restrictions are there. It is going to take time consuming exercises, and also it requires additional effort, additional resources are also required. So government resources are also going to be utilized here. So again, this is also negative. And finally, it might resistance from a panchayat and other vested interest group. Like developer, he might object to it, sarpanch might object to it, predecessor also try to create some kind of influence over this decision. This is also a possibility. This is a demerit. And final question here is, what option you have, what other option you have, and give the justification. That is the question here. So can you suggest any other option with proper justification? That is the question here. Now the other option is that, see, what I would suggest is that first and foremost thing, you have to conduct the investigation. You need to understand whether this decision is taken genuinely, is there any genuine context, or for the vested interest. That you should make sure. For that you need to conduct an investigation. So conduct an investigation to understand whether the decision is based on vested interest or not. That is the first and foremost thing. So once the confirmation you got, then based on that confirmation you take a next step. You got the confirmation that decision was taken on a vested interest, then take action accordingly. If you got to know that it is based on some context, some genuine, because of some genuine reason they have changed the location, then you take action based on that. See, if the vested interest on there, if it is proved there is a vested interest, then go through the legal way. Whatever the legal aspects are there, whatever the legal obligations are there, go follow the legal methodology and take action. That is one thing. If the situation you understood that it is not taken because of the vested interest, then there is inefficiency, clear inefficiency is visible, then you correct that inefficiency. In both the consequences for both the actions, whether it is vested interest or inefficiency, you have to make a detailed report. You have to give it to the higher authorities. You take the action for vested interest. For inefficiency also, you correct it, you take a step to correct it. But for both the things, you have to give that report to the higher authorities, let them aware of this particular situation. So submit report to the higher authorities, and also mention the alternative options that are available. Can you go back to the same plot, or can you take the different plot, or can you build the school in the same locality of fort site? Everything you have to make a alternative approach, alternative options available, and submit to the higher authorities. They will take a final call. Right? This is the other options I have. Again, merit and demerit. Let's see that merit, it will be an unbiased, it will be a fair approach, right? And another thing is, if there are any hidden interests are there, I will get to know and I am going to inform to the higher authorities. So it will also help me in my decision making. And then public cost can be saved by reducing the developmental cost. You know that in the fort side development cost is very high, so it can be reduced. If it could be shifted to some other place, so you can say you are saving the public money. And then demerit you have. Demerit again, it requires time and resources to conduct investigation, to give the report. Also you are focusing your energy in that, and then it might face resistance by group which have vested interest. So this is also a possibility. So these are the demerits of this option, right? So let's move to the final case study. I'm going to pause it, read the case study. I will be back. The next case study talks about girls education. You are a district development officer. Now the situation is that in that particular region in a district, people are not in favor of girls education. Already the kind of passive resistance to the girls education, it is already there. In that scenario, one girl is molested in that region while going to the college or the school. Now people have a taken decision in that region, people have taken, elders, they have taken a decision that they are not going to send their girls to the school. That for the safety concerns, they cited this. Already they were not happy with the girls education because it is impacting employment for the guys, and all these reasons have been given, you can go through with that. But now girl has been molested, now they are saying absolutely no to the girls education. This is the situation. Now how do you handle this, how do you convince them? That is the situation here. Let's see the questions here. What steps would you take to ensure girl safety without disrupting their education? Write the necessary steps you follow. And then how would you manage and mold patriarchal attitude of village elders to ensure harmony in the intergeneration relationship? So 2 questions you have to write, at least minimum 8 points for this particular case study. Again, write down the stakeholders, and if there are any dilemma, here also dilemma, girls education and the patriarchal mindset and the safety. Write down the dilemmas if you see any of these things. Now let's directly get into the various points. The first aspect is that what are the steps you would take for the girl safety, what are the steps you would take. The steps includes, first and foremost, police patrolling of police has to be increased, especially during the commuting hours, while the girls go to the college or school, and while the coming back, at that time police patrolling should be there. So police patrolling on road during the traveling hours. Then you have to talk to the girls also, you need to understand their concerns also, what are the problems they are facing. So counseling of the girls is also very much necessary. There are genuine problems girls are also facing, you need to understand them also, that is another aspect. And installation of CCTV camera in that road or in that the path they follow. And women help desk, women safety corners, to every maybe 2-3 kilometers to have these kind of safety corners. This is also helpful. So women safety corners, women help desk. And also you can use the technology to providing security, technology like online anonymous complaining procedure or artificial intelligence based surveillance. This also you can implement to deal with the girl safety, to provide safety to the girls, and in turn this is going to help the girls education and increase the number of female police here, and sensitive training to the law and order agencies. Of course, when the girls approach the law and order agencies, they should have the gender sensitivity. Already they are facing problem from the elders in the village, and even the law and order, these agencies and these people, they also are insensitive, then they are not going to approach them. So sensitivity training should be given to them. And safe transportation facilities, which includes pink buses, especially in Chennai we have a pink places. These kind of pink buses focusing on women commuters, the number of buses can be increased. And also community involvement is also very much important to make sure the safety of these girls. Community involvement, awareness regarding safety of the girls, create that education to the community also, so that they are also going to be active stakeholders in that scenario. And then come strict actions. If there are any miscreants, strict action has to be taken to set an example for others. Strict action against miscreant who trouble girls in that region. So these are some of the innovative measures, steps you should. A question is with respect to girls safety without disrupting their education. So these are some of the steps. This is first part of the question. And the second part of the question includes, there is an intergeneration patriarchal attitude is there. How do you get rid of this patriarchal attitude, or how do you address this patriarchal attitude to solve this issue of intergenerational gaps, right? The first and foremost thing is, elders, they have certain cognitions. You need to work on their cognitive component, you need to work on their affective component. Cognitive, your thinking, affective, emotion. So focus on the cognitive component of the village elders. And how do you focus on? Through the community awareness program, through the workshop. Let them be part of this program, let them understand this. And the second aspect is, see, the concerns of the villagers, you cannot outrightly reject it. You cannot say that there is no safety concern, education is important. you cannot outrightly reject. Education is important, but rejecting the concerns, they become more adamant. So what you do is you have to acknowledge their concerns also. Their concerns is women's safety, girl safety. So that also you need to understand. Acknowledge their concerns first, and then convince the importance of girls' employment, girls' education. So first step is the acknowledgement, and then you convince them, right? Along with that, you need to persuade them. There must be a social influence also. How do you do this? So you need to focus a role model approach. Role model approach is that there are successful women doctors, women entrepreneurs, women officers in that region, and bring them to these regions and educate them how important women employment, women education, and how successful these women are. This is going to create some kind of positive atmosphere or pro education atmosphere in the region. So here successful doctors, teachers, lawyers in the neighborhood areas, they are going to educate. Their life lesson, the way they live, that itself will be a lesson to these elder people. So showcase the positive aspects of women empowerment. That is also going to bridge that patriarchal gap, and then have taken help of NGO, civil society organization, even the religious leaders also, the political leaders, religious leaders, they also going to help. So they are going to address the generational gap between with respect to girls education. And government, we have so many schemes, Sukanya Samriddhi, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. There are financial incentives are also there for the girls education. Let them know these kind of schemes also. They might not be aware of this. Create that awareness with respect to these financial incentives, financial benefits also. This might also act as this might also act as a persuasion tactics here. So highlight the government schemes, offer direct benefit to the girls education. And finally, in a long term perspective, you have to educate people from the ground level, from the very lower level. So ensure the curriculum which promotes gender equality, which promote critical thinking, which address the patriarchal norm for the long term cultural change. So these are the steps to deal with patriarchal attitude in a society, right? So I think this is it. Yes, we have covered all the case studies also. We have covered section A, we have covered the section B also. And in the next video we are going to take up 2016 paper. Again, we are going to follow the same pattern. 2 videos, one video section A, another video section B. Thank you for listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. This is going to be a moral support for us also. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.